At the beginning of the movie, we are shown a world that is completely different from the one we know today. Here, the entire Earth has become barren. The biggest shortage in this world is water, which is why people here even clean their household utensils with dirt. People kill each other for water, which is causing the population in this world to decrease rapidly. Here, we are shown a family in which a man named Ernest lives in a townhouse with his son and daughter. Even today, they own thousands of acres of land. Years ago, his father used to farm there. Back then, this land was lush and green. But to this day, Ernest's children have never seen this land green and fertile. Still, Ernest believes that the land can become green again. He also has a mule, which he uses to carry goods and supply them to the companies that extract water from this barren land. The water supply companies extract water from underground and sell it in the cities. One day, Ernest goes to those company people and says that we need water for irrigation. But the waterman flatly refuses, saying that so much water cannot be given to anyone. Even if it were given, it would be very expensive, a price you cannot afford. After this, Ernest, disappointed, starts heading back home with his son. But on the way, his mule's leg breaks. Because of this, Ernest has to shoot it, since he couldn't carry it with him, and if he left it alive there, it would have died anyway. After that, both of them return home. At home, their daughter is shown washing dishes with dirt because of the water shortage. The next day, Ernest takes his son to a place where robotic animals are sold. There, a robot is put up for auction, and Ernest buys it. But there was a boy there named Flame. He gets very angry because he wanted to buy this robot. After this, Ernest goes to the hospital with his son, where his wife is kept connected to wires because she cannot walk. Ernest doesn't have enough money for that therapy system and can't install it at home. That's why she was admitted to the hospital. After meeting her, both of them start heading back. On the way, they meet a boy named Robbie. Robbie's financial condition is very bad. He doesn't have any money for food or drink. He had a child whom he wanted to sell so that he could get some money. But Ernest refuses him and says that he shouldn't do such a thing. After this, Ernest gives him some water because Ernest has a good heart. At that moment, Robbie tells Ernest that his daughter is having an affair with someone. Actually, both of their families already knew each other from before. After this, Ernest returns home, goes to his daughter, and says that he should have told her. But his daughter stands up and says that she is the master of her own life and will live as she wishes. Hearing this, Ernest gets so angry that he locks his daughter inside the house. The next morning, when they wake up, they find that someone has stolen their robot. Seeing this, Ernest suspects that Flame must have done it because he wanted to buy that robot. A little while later, the water suppliers suddenly come to him and beat him up so badly that Ernest loses consciousness. As soon as he regains consciousness, he finds himself surrounded by all the suppliers. They say, "Give us back our water, the one you stole together with your robot." Ernest tries to explain to them, but they still start beating him. After this, Ernest picks up a gun lying on the ground and, threatening them, escapes from there. After that, he sets out to find Flame and eventually finds him at one place. It was he who had stolen his robot and the water. Now, keeping Flame at gunpoint, Ernest makes him get up and says, "Come back with me to those suppliers so I can prove my innocence." After this, they start walking, but as they go, Ernest becomes extremely exhausted and collapses to the ground from fatigue. In fact, due to the lack of water, his entire body had become dehydrated. Now Flame says, "You can drink the stolen water and we'll sell the remaining water in another city and split all the money 50-50. After this, Ernest does drink the water, but he still doesn't want to sell it. Then, with great difficulty, he manages to stand up because his condition had become very bad. Flame takes advantage of this and suddenly hits him with a stone, which kills Ernest. After that, he leaves Ernest and the robot there and sets everything up so that it looks like Ernest was killed by his own robot. Then he goes to Ernest's house and meets his daughter. Actually, Flame was the boy she was in love with. Meanwhile, when Ernest's son sees that the whole day has passed and his father still hasn't returned, he sets out to look for him. On the way, he finds a water bottle and the robot, which belonged to the water suppliers. Now he realized that his father had died. He goes to the water supplier and shows him the same water bottle. The water supplier realizes that Ernest was not the one who stole the water. If Ernest had stolen it, the rest of the water would have been there too. But in reality, it wasn't. That's why the supplier starts looking for the real thief. After killing Ernest, Flame devised a plan so that everyone would think it wasn't anyone else, but his own robotic animal that killed him. After this, Ernest's son comes home and starts breaking the robot into pieces. But Flame arrives there and stops him. In reality, Flame had now become a part of their family. He tells Ernest's son that he wants to marry his sister. Your sister won't refuse this either. After hearing all this, Ernest's son doesn't say anything, meaning he too had accepted him. After this, Flame decides that he will farm on their large piece of land. He goes to the water suppliers and tells them his entire plan. Flame says, "You secretly supply water to my fields, and in return I'll pay you a lot of money after the crops grow." At first they refuse, but when Flame offers them even more money, they agree, and Flame gets the water. Now Flame works very hard in the fields. Everything is going well, so Flame marries his sister. But then, problems start to arise. One day, some people from the bank come and say that Ernest borrowed a lot of money from us for these fields. Now return that money to us, or else all this land will come under our possession. Flame had worked very hard on this land. He doesn't want to leave it. That's why now, at any cost, he wants to regain control of the fields. After this, Flame goes to Robbie, who was being forced to sell his child to Ernest. Flame talks to him, but Robbie doesn't give his son to Flame. Instead, he sells him to another man. Flame was in desperate need of money, so he kills Robbie, steals his money, and runs away from there. During this, a bullet hits the robotic animal's leg. By then, Flame had already escaped with the money. Meanwhile, the robotic animal slowly makes its way back to its original manufacturer, the person who created this robot. Now it is shown that Flame is very happy at home with his wife because he has paid off all the bank's money. Ernest's son still believes that Flame paid off the bank's debt by selling the robotic animal. Then, the manufacturer announces that whoever owns this robot should come and take it. Ernest's son is shocked to hear all this because until now, he thought that Flame had sold it. Now during dinner, he asks Flame, "Did you sell the robotic animal?" But Flame doesn't say anything in response. Because of this, Ernest's son starts to become suspicious of him. After that, he says that tomorrow morning, he will go to the hospital to meet his mother. But instead of going to the hospital, he goes to the place where the company that manufactures robotic animals is located. The company representative returns the robot to him and tells him about a special function of this robot, that it can also record a lot of footage. Now, as soon as Ernest's son watches the footage, he is left shocked. It is revealed that the one who killed his father was none other than Flame. Now he fully understands that it was Flame who killed his father. Seeing his father die, tears start to well up in his eyes. He returns home and says to Flame, the robot itself, "He came back home on his own, but you said you had sold him." Then after this, Ernest's son says to him, "Robbie was calling you." Hearing this, Flame is shocked because he had actually killed Robbie. But Flame doesn't say anything. He stays silent. The next day, Flame receives a letter that appears to be written by Robbie. In that letter, he is called to a deserted and lonely place. Without thinking much, driven by curiosity and haste, Flame goes there with his animal robot. As he keeps walking, the place starts to feel even more desolate, but Flame has no idea about this. Suddenly, he falls into a pit hidden beneath the ground. Falling to the bottom of the pit leaves deep wounds on his body, and he is badly injured. In fact, all of this is a conspiracy that Ernest's son had planned in advance. He had already made a complete plan to trap Flame. At that moment, Flame sees a shadow above him, and that shadow belongs to Ernest's son. Flame immediately realizes that this was all a trap. Wounded and battered, Flame starts apologizing when he sees him, but the boy's heart is filled only with revenge. He ignores Flame's words and kills him, thus avenging his father's death. After taking his revenge, he calmly takes the robot and returns home. When he gets home, he doesn't tell his sister, who was Flame's wife, anything. The reason was that she was pregnant and about to become the mother of Flame's child. If she found out the truth, she would be devastated. That's why her brother stays silent. A few days pass, but Flame does not return. Then worried, the sister asks why Flame hasn't come back. Her brother reassures her. Have a little more patience, maybe he'll come back in a few days. Then the sister says to her brother, "Our crops are ready now. We have enough money to take care of our mother. So we should bring our mother back home." With this hope and decision, the story ends here.